eModels.co.uk. Go make something awesome.
Shut up and sit down.
Hello folks, Festa here from eModels and welcome to the Miniart milk truck build. The eagle-eyed will notice that this is part of the Berlin Dio that I've been building on the live streams that I do on a Wednesday. So we're going to be putting this together. Now this footage is archive footage from the live streams that I've just edited together just to give us a little bit of a video of each stage of the build for you. So we're just gluing together the cab section of the truck, as you can see. Nice and simple. All the parts of this really do go together well, folks, and I can't recommend these kits enough. So as you can see, they're just gluing that together, holding it in place, putting in all the little gear lever, throttles, all of that lot. Just gently popping in the steering column there, as you can see. And then we can start now going round to the interior side panels of the rear of the milk wagon. Little bit of Tamiya extra thin there just to help things bond in place. And don't forget, folks, as well, eModels are a good supplier for God hands. As you can see, I'm using one of the God hand sanders there. They come in sets, so you can just grab yourself a set of them, and they really do come in handy for this sort of work, I must admit. So we're just gluing in this interior section there. Now this is going to hold all the shelves for the milk crates, the juice crates and all of them. Got the rear wheel arch going in. Nice, simple build these, folks. They really fit together well, these little kits. And this is one of a few for this diorama. I got the beer truck as well that I did on a previous eModels live stream. And then we're going to be having the video for the figures and then a couple of videos for the diorama that this is all set in. So I'm just going around with a bit of Tamiya white cap, gluing the truck sections together there. There's the bed going in with the bulkhead, sits behind the driver's cab. Like I say, just go around, a bit of Tamiya white cap. There's the side panel there. Now this one is the one with the door in. Now I'm going to be fixing the door later on open so that you can see inside the milk churns, etc. And then you're going to have a couple of milkmen just trundling around in the Dio that are emptying this milk truck, doing the delivery to a little bar. Just press fitting the wheel arch in just to get the glue to bond. And then again, any fettling and finagling I need to do, I can just go around and tidy up at a later stage. But for the moment, it's just getting the assembly done. A little bit of extra thin there just to weld the wheel arch in place. And then I'm putting some rubber bands around just to pop this roof panel on. Just to hold that in situ whilst that dries. And then I can look at attaching the cab unit to the front then. Nice and simple. These will just hold this in place whilst the extra thin does its bit. And it just lets it all dry off nicely. I'll put a rubber band just round the waist there where that door's going to be. And then this little cab unit is then going to hook up underneath the lip of the roof and then just join up onto the bulkhead, as you can see. So we've got the seat to go in and that as well. So I'm going to put that in before this joins up. And then you'll have the engine assembly that will then go on the front of that. So just put a little bit of white cap on there. Bond that in place. I was going to put the seat in, but I've decided against it just for the moment. Just so that I can get this stage done. again, just put some rubber bands in, just to pull that over. And I want that then to go off so that as I handle it, there's no risk of it popping apart. Just keep that under tension there. That's the area I'm interested in, just where that joint is on the bulkhead. Because this has got suicide doors on the front of this van, and that's where the door's going to mount. So I want that to actually really fit well. Again, rubber bands on that side, just to keep it under tension for now. We can then dry fit the door, just to keep the bodywork so that the door will fit in its opening there. And that'll then, as the glue goes off, just enable that body to keep its shape. Do a quick dry fit of the glass, just to make sure that the roof panel edge is going to fit as well. And then you'll see I'll just dry fit that into place, like so. Just in case the rubber bands do try to distort the body, you're not going to have a twisted body, folks. We can now start building the rear axle assembly. Just glue the components together. There's no real picky stages on this build, to be quite honest with you. Kit's gone together really smoothly so far. So it's just a matter of following your instructions, fitting all your pieces together. And I think you'll find that this is one of them builds that just eases together really well. Putting all the latch mechanisms inside the rear door there, because these are going to be open, so these mechanisms are going to be visible. I just want to make sure that they're bonded in place. Bit of extra fin just to weld them in place. You then start putting the hubs on the ends of the axle there. Try and get them nice and level. Don't want to skew with the rear wheel coal, do we? And then do the same the other side there. Just make sure the pegs line up. And then just place that on the end of the axle. We've then got a prop shaft going on. And that'll just fit straight in there, like so. And that'll send drive to the rear wheels. We then got a little A-frame to go on, just to help with its torsion. And that then attaches to the base of the prop shaft there. Gives that rear axle a nice bit of strength. And then that will go in under our truck then as a single assembly. Start putting the wheels together now. 2-piece wheels there. Just pop them together. Might as well go around and do all of these. Just bear in mind the front one has got a little mounting on it that joins on the side of the engine. So just try to keep that one separate from the rears. And then I'll go around with the extra fin there just to catch any little voids. And then we can give it a squish and that'll weld that together quite nicely. Same process on this one. Nice bit of ease and squeeze on the engine there, just so that we can get them to fit together. And then any excess plastic that squeezes out, we can always get with a seam removal tool, edge of a knife, etc. Very intricate and tiny pieces for this engine. Plenty of potential for pinging, folks, so be careful. And just use the tweezers there for the smaller pipes. Lining up the little exhaust system there. Get the radiator on, and then we can start putting this wheel together. As you can see, there's engine's gone together really, really well there. Got the exhaust on there now. We've also got the drivetrain on there ready for the front wheel to attach. And there are the sub-assemblies ready to start going together. You can now pop the rear axle up underneath the bodywork. Yes, Devil's Metal has been applied. There's a roof rack going on. Yeah, Festa and photo-etched, folks. It is now proven that I've done photo-etched. Yeah, a bit of Devil's Metal. Just using a pair of God-hand photo-etched benders there, folks. Really are a useful tool. They've got non-serrated tips on them as well, so they don't scuff or scratch the surface of the photo-etch. And really are a nice pair of bending tools, I must admit. Get some churns done. Keep an eye on these churns, because when the figures come along, you'll see a little trick I use so that the figure actually ends up carrying the churns. Putting together the crates now. Going around, putting the sides and the ends on the crates. And again, it's just a matter of repeating this process for all the crates until they're all done. Using the toothpick there just to get a little bit of super glue in the corners there of the roof rack, just to bond that together. Press it in place like so, and then we'll let that cure. I'm not a massive fan of photo-etch, I freely admit it, but I had to go. So that's now had time to dry, folks. Just quickly dry fit, just to look like, see what crates will look like on the roof there. Now some of these will be going in the back of the milk truck. A couple of them will be on the roof where the driver and his assistant have unloaded stuff ready for the customer. So they just drop them on the roof so they can carry on into the restaurant. So we're starting to paint now. I'm using some Citadel paint on a wet palette. And I'm just going to brush paint this. I've already been ahead and primed the car black. All the sub-assemblies have been primed as well. And it's a matter now of just delicately dry brushing this paint on. You can airbrush it, but I just thought I'll do a bit of brush painting, because not everyone has an airbrush. Gives me a chance to try out these goddamn brushes as well, folks. All different sizes, long and short handled ones, dry brushes, filbert brushes. Go and have a look, folks. Head over to eModels.co.uk. Have a look at all the tools and equipment. Go into the God-hand range and you'll see there's brushes for every aspect of what you want to do. And it just gives me a chance to get back to a bit of brush painting. Just gently applying the blue there, as you can see. Let the brush do the work for you. Just go round, gently applying the paint. And then I can feather it in wherever I need to. Actually been quite pleasant getting back to a bit of brush painting. It's, yeah, nice and relaxing. Especially on kits this scale as well. Getting all the nooks and crannies around the hinges, around all the windscreen frames, back of the engine bulkhead. And then we can start working our way around the sides of the truck in a moment. Probably have 2, maybe 3 thin coats on this. And then that'll be a nice base colour of paint that we can focus on them. Making sure I get in and around the back of the engine area. Again, using the wet palette to my benefit. It just waters down the paint just enough for it to flow a little bit smoother. You can get a nice smooth finish with these brushes, which is nice. And then just literally feather the paint across there, as you can see. And then we can start now working our way along the seal there, going towards the rear section of the milk truck. Don't worry too much about covering in one coat, because we will be going back and doing this in a few. As you can see with these brushes, this paint is really going on nicely. Just pick up any little areas that you're not happy with underneath the wheel arches, get them done. And then we can start filling in now around the rear section of this truck panel. Just gives this truck that almost hand-painted feel of a post-war truck. The delivery owner's, just sat there with a pot of paint from his shed that he's had left over, giving it a little paint. And that's what we're trying to replicate. It's going around now, catching all the edges, cutting them all in. And then we can just pick off a little bit more, straight on the wet palette, and start filling in the whole side panel now. This is where the wet palette comes into its own, because it really allows the paint to thin but flow a lot better across the model. Again, letting the brush do the work for me. We can now fill in the rest of the side panel. And as I've said, probably do 2, maybe 3 coats. We'll see how it looks. And then there'll be decals going over this as well, folks, okay? Just cover it now and do the other side. Get that all neatened up. Repeating the process that we've done on the other side. Round the wheel arches there, trying to catch all them little edges that you may miss. Getting all the little crooks and nannies. And then we can start blending that paint. Coming around the top edge there, start cutting that in. Like so. And just flick the brush towards the edges. Come back on yourself, pick up any paint that you may have missed. Pin it down on the wet palette. And then we can start now filling in this little lower rear section. Just like so. Cut that into the rear door frame. And now we can start moving the paint across just to fill in the rest of this rear quarter. Like so. We can let that dry off, and then we can come back if we need to and put on any additional coats that we need. I'm pleased with how that's coming along. We just pop that there. Quickly catch any little visible edges on the internal part of the bulkhead there. And then we can pop that to one side. And we're going to do the doors white. So this will need a good few coats on this, just to make sure that the grey itself isn't showing through too much. Again, start with the edges, all the door shuts, and then we can work our way round the doors then, just to get that coverage that we're after. But for the moment, like I say, I'm just cutting in round the edges, and then I can use any excess paint that are on the edges just to come across the centre of the panel. So I'm going to do up and down strokes to start, and then each coat will have different directions of paint. And then hopefully we can then have a nice smooth paint job at the end of it. But at this stage, I'm not too fussed about brush strokes. We should have a minimal amount at this stage. But again, if I need to, just come over with the paintbrush like so, and then just pick out any visible marks and get shot of them. Got the bonnet to do. We're going to go back to the blue for this. Again, there'll be more than one coat going on. Working my way around the edges there, cutting in all the edges around the shroud of the radiator, and then come up over the top of the bonnet, like so. And then we'll be able to capture the other side. Again, more than one coat will go on this, folks. I'm not worried about getting it all done in one hit. And as you can see already, it's beginning to start taking shape. Work my way around the grill. It's a photo-etched grill that's gone in as well. Comes in the little cardboard sleeve inside the kit, the photo-etched. Nice little idea I like with Miniart is they package their photo-etch in a little cardboard envelope. Just stops it getting bent in transit. Again, catching all the little panel lines, swage lines with the brush. Getting a nice even coat of blue across there, and then I can cut in the edges as I need to. And then just quickly go over the top with a very, very thin layer. Just looking for any voids that may be there. And then we'll come back with another couple of coats to finish that off, folks. It's that easy. And again, if you haven't got an airbrush, do a bit of brush painting. This is where these goddamn brushes have come in really useful for that. Start doing all the doors now. Again, same process. Vertical and horizontal coats. Work the paint across the door, like so. And then we'll be doing the same now with the roof panel. Again, let the brush do the work for you. And as you can see how easy that paint is going on, it really is a breeze. Again, work my way round all the rain gutters, round the edge of the roof rack there. Use that as a guide. And then come round, do the same on the back there. Patch in all the gutters. And then just finish off this side here. Just like so. Now we can hold the stick and we can start filling in the area now on the inside of the roof rack. And you've got moulded ridges on this roof panel as well that the crates sit on. So you can almost paint this like you would floorboards, just work your way along. Do a panel at a time until you've got the whole roof panel completed. Again, there's going to be crates going on this, and bear in mind it's a working van. You're going to have dinks, scratches, dust and detritus. added to this little area. So it will get a bit weathered and get a bit beaten. So I'm not that fussed about any of the undercoat showing through because it will get worn down as the truck's been used. We can always come back with a bit of chipping fluid. We can expose some of that underlying layer. Just going around now picking out little details. All the little levers, throttles, pedals, etc. Now's the time to get a bit of detail painting done on these before I put the roof on. Same with the axle. And again with the hubcaps, give them a little coat of paint. Much easier to do at this stage before I attach the rear axle. And there you go. Come round inside the engine canopy there. Start detailing up any of the internal engine's metal components. And then we can start putting the rear axle on. If you notice, I've got wooden deck effect underneath there. Just to give that a little bit of interest. And again, you're not going to see this, don't get me wrong, because the car's on the diorama. But we know it's there, folks. Start painting the milk bottles. These are all done in clear plastic. Just using white paint, obviously, for the milk bottles. And then Tamiya clear for the different juice colours, orange and lemon juice. And then I'll go back round then and then I'll paint all the caps either gold or silver, depending on what the milk type is, and also the juices. Just adds a little bit of interest to the parts. And then, like I say, when the crates are set up, you'll have different coloured liquids in the crates. Nice bit of decaling starting now. This has had a satin coat varnish applied to it just to help the decals move around a little bit. I didn't want to go full gloss on it. So get all the decals on. Once they're all done and conformed, I'll then go around and matte coat the whole vehicle then. But this just gives me a little bit of fettling time with the decals. So I get them placed just as I want them. And already the truck is coming alive just through putting them few decals on. You can see going over with a Q-tip there just to get any bubbles out. Over the side of the writing there on the door with a brush. Like so. Door's only dry fitted on this side, the side door, whilst the decal going on. And that'll enable me to cut the decal with the door in place. And then I can pop the door out once the decals have dried. This is my little gadget of gripping this just to help me get the milk bottles in the milk crates. Because they're very tiny and I am the king of dropping stuff. I do have a clear box that I use also from God End. But on the live streams I tend not to use it because of the magnifier being right where the line of sight is for the camera. But if I'm not filming a build, it is a godsend for me because it stops me dropping everything. We're now gluing these crates in place as to where they're going to be seen with the rear doors open. That's why I've not painted the undersides of the crates there, just so that the glue's got something to bond to. And if you notice as well, there's some churns in the side entrance at the front. Purely and simply so that you can see them. We then got this figure going together. This is the Ted Milkman. You'll see at the end as to why he's the Ted Milkman. Nice, simple fit. Everything goes together really, really easily on these figures, folks. And it just adds a little bit of character to the build, having the figures with it. Straightforward assembly, torso, legs, arms, and then obviously his head. And this guy's going to be carrying a crate on his shoulder. So before the arm goes off, dry fit a crate, just so that you get the hand in the right place. And then you know then when you go to glue the crate on at the end, it's going to fit properly. Now I'm drilling through the side of this churn so that I can mount the handle. Like so. And then I can glue that in place. You'll also notice I'll be drilling through the milkman's hand so that he can carry the milk churns. So I'll just get these handles in place. I want these to go off fully before I cut them so that they can go in the hands of the milkman that's carrying them. Bit of glue down the edge of the door there so that we can mount that to the frame. Like so. And then that will just let you see inside the vehicle where he's pulled up to do his delivery. He's just got out, scooted round the back to open the van up. And that will then hold itself in place like so. Just lets you see inside the cab. Now we can put the roof on. Much easier for me building it this way because I could detail everything and then just pop the roof on at the end as is. Then attach the rear doors. Again, I'm keeping them open so that you can see inside the truck. You can see all the crates in there on their respective shelves. Gives it a little bit of interest. And certainly with the diorama, it'll come in handy because it just lets you see a bit of detail. Same with the other door. And as you can see, that's a rather full milk truck, folks. There's the side door going in. You can see the milk decal on the side there with the cones, the ice cream cones and all of that. And again, we'll just mount that to the frame. So we're coming to the end of this video, folks. So don't forget, if you want to go and grab this kit for yourself, head over to eModels.co.uk. Also, all the tools that I've been using, the God-hand tools and equipment are available from there. I look forward to seeing you in the next video where I'll be painting the figures. Bye-bye for now.